Dear brothers, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is our first day of the classes that we have begun, and I'm thankful to Brother Ali Jafri Sahab, who has organized these classes. And the prime reason why we are here today is because of, mashallah, Ali Jafri Sahab. Because a few days ago, when we were sitting together, he said that he's in the habit of discussing Quran with his family, his children. And what he does is he says that he takes one word and he starts discussing about that word from Quran with his children, about the meanings of that word and everything that relates to that word. Well, I told him that, that it's a good thing that you do, but if you really need to understand Quran, there are certain things that we must keep in mind. The exegesis of the Quran, the tafsir of Quran, the ulama say that it can only be done by looking at another verses of Quran. If you need to understand one verse, if you need to understand what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wills to say to mankind, then you have to relate to some other verses that are in relevance to this verse, to that particular verse. Or the other way is that you relate to the traditions or the ahadith of Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. Now, the thing is that all of the ahadith as well as Quran is in Arabic. So in order to understand Quran, you have to understand the true meanings of the words that exist in Quran and the ahadith. So in order to do that, you have to learn the Arabic grammar first. That's the first step. But obviously, it is not compulsory upon anybody to learn the Arabic grammar, because it is, I understand, and that it is not a very easy task. But therefore it's only meant for the people who are really keen, like Jafri Bhai had said, that if you're really keen to understand the structure of Quran, the meanings of Quran, the tafsir of it, then you have to learn the Arabic grammar. It is a bit difficult, needs a lot of dedication, and also a little bit of practice. What I'll try to do is that I'll try to make it very easy to understand for everybody. And all you have to do is, once you understand what I have said, then all you have to do is you need a little bit of practice. And the practice is a necessity, because humans tend to forget. So if you forget the first lesson, and then you move on to the other lessons, then you have to keep something in mind. You see, if you've got bricks in your hand, if you're building a structure, you put one brick on top of the other. So brick by brick, you understand the structure of the whole building that you've built upon. Therefore, practice is essential. And also, I would request all of the brothers to be on time. Of course, a few minutes of delay is all right, but if it wasn't Sarf, then I would recommend that you could, spare a few minutes and join later on. But I would specify that if you are keen in learning this subject, then you have to be on time. Now, the subject Sarf deals particularly with kalima. Kalima is an Arabic word which means word itself, word. So the Sarf, what is Sarf? It deals with words and nothing else. Arabic grammar can be divided into two segments, Sarf and Nahv. Sarf, purely, the subject of Sarf is the words of Arabic. Now, where did this knowledge come from? The Sarf and Nahv? Well, if you look at the history, if you read the history books, Sarf al-Nahv, the founder of Sarf al-Nahv was Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam.
Allahumma salli ala
Now,
Muhammad
before
was
Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, nobody had heard or used the word Nahv or Sarf. Arabic language did exist, but there was no scientific way of learning the Arabic language. Sharh Nahj al-Balagha, one of the books written by Ibn Abi al-Hadid, who is a renowned scholar from Ahl Sunnah. In his Sharh Nahj al-Balagha, he says that this is one of the miracles of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, that he has taught humanity Nahv and Sarf, because it is such a scientific way that all of, like for example, if everything was scattered, for example, if you're sitting somewhere and you see that everything is scattered everywhere in the room, wherever you're sitting, and then you see that all of those things are suddenly organized in a systematic and a scientific way where you can understand each and everything. So that's the scientific way of looking at the Arabic language. And it comes from Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib. Now the word Sarf itself, if you look at it in the Arabic dictionaries, it means change. The people who have gone to Arab countries in the Middle East must have seen that once you go to a money changer, you will see the board As-Sarraf, Alif Lam Sad Ra Alif Fe, As-Sarraf, the money changer. So the meaning itself says a lot about this subject. Sarf means change. Now, if you look at it, I'll try to make it very, very simple about what Sarf is all about in a few sentences. As I said, Sarf deals purely and solely about words, Arabic words. Now, Sarf is a scientific approach of understanding the meanings of Arabic words, right? Now, the structure of a word, once you look at the structure of a word, where the word came from, what the root word was, and by changing the very structure of the word from one word to another, if you start moving from one word to another, the similar words, you tend to understand the meaning of those words. That's one of the advantages of learning Sarf. Not just the meaning, but it is a scientific way of understanding not just the meaning of the words, but as well as to understand how the words come into being. You know, so you tend to get the power of not just understanding the words, but to create the words yourself. And if you understand this science, then once you're reading the ahadith of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, or you're reading a verse from Qur'an, you're able to identify that particular word, and you are then as a result, you are able to understand the very meaning of what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is trying to say to mankind. So that's one of the two advantages of learning Sarf. Now, who was the first person? As I told you, it was Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam who taught Nahv and Sarf to Abul Aswad Duali. That's the first name that comes in history as a person who was the first person who taught Sarf and Nahv, and he was the student and the companion of Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib. And he himself says that I've learned this from Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. Now the two words that, the two names that come as the people who have, because today is just an introductory class, so I just want to give you the essence and, you know, what I'm trying to teach, the subject that you're going to learn today. over the period of time that I'm going to teach you. I just want to give you the essence of what Sarf is all about. Ma'az bin Muslim Kufi and Abu Usman Basri. Now, Ma'az ibn Muslim Kufi is a gentleman from the 2nd century Hijri. And Abu Usman Basri is from the 3rd century Hijri. Now, as their names say, Kufi and Basri, it is clear that the first gentleman that I mentioned, Ma'az bin Muslim, came from Kufa, and Abu Usman Basri came from Basra. Arabic grammar, and both of these two gentlemen were renowned Shia ulama. These are the two names that every single Sunni, irrelevant of their religion, where they come from, their race or the religion, irrelevant of whether they're Shias or Sunnis or Christians or Jews or whoever, if they speak Arabic and they want to learn Arabic grammar, they have to refer to these two people, who are the people who have taught Sarf to us. Now, Kufa and Basra, these are the two main cities where Sarf and Nahv have come from. Just like the people in Urdu, if they know that there was always kind of like an enmity between Delhi, New Delhi, and Lucknow. The people who are aware of the Urdu language. Similarly, the people from Basra and Kufa, these are the two main universities of, now these people from Basra and Kufa, these are the two people, and these are the two main cities where Arabic grammar has come from. There was a little bit of enmity between both of the sides, which is always common, because the people who are of this kind of nature, like the poets or the people who are, you know, very interactive with literacy, they tend to get a little boastful about themselves, and they tend to, you know, disagree with other people who are of the similar caliber. Therefore, it is, you know, alhamdulillah, for us as Shias, we're proud, we can be proud to say that Arabic grammar has derived from our Mawla Ali ibn Abi Talib, alayhi salam, who was the founder of this grammar, and then later on from his students who were in Kufa and Basra, and these are the people who have, you know, given us this knowledge that still exists today, not just in the madaris of Ahl Tashayyu, but also in the madaris of Ahl Tasannun. The first step that anybody takes is to learn Sarf and then Nahv. So as I said, Sarf is the topic, the subject that deals with understanding of the Arabic words. And this Arabic word that I mentioned, as everybody knows, it's very easy to understand as well, is kalima. Kalima in Arabic means word. Now, in Arabic, the sentence that I'll keep on referring to is, the definition of kalima is al-kalimatu lafzun mawdu'un mufradun. Al-kalimatu lafzun mawdu'un mufradun. So that's the definition of kalima. What is a kalima? Every single sound that comes out of your mouth is a kalima, right? Is a lafz. Now there's a difference between kalima and lafz. As everybody uses these two words in Urdu as well, similarly, we use these words in Persian as well, kalima and lafz. But in Arabic, there is a difference. Now, al-kalima lafzun mawdu'un mufradun. Every single word, every single voice that comes out of your mouth, any sound that comes out of your mouth, you can call it a lafz. It does not mean that it necessarily has to have a meaning. So lafz does not mean that it has a meaning, not necessarily, but sometimes it can have a meaning, sometimes it cannot have a meaning. Just a sound that comes out of your mouth. But like I said, al-kalimatu lafzun mawdu'un. So kalima itself is the word that has a meaning in itself. Any word that comes out of your mouth that you can think of that has a meaning is called a kalima. For example, any name, Ja'fari, for example, Zaidi, any name of a place, or any word that has a meaning is called a kalima. Al-kalima lafzun mawdu'un. And then it says mufradun. Mufradun means that it has an independent meaning. What does that mean? I'll have to explain a little bit. The word itself has the meaning. For example, if you think of a name of a place, for example, our country, Pakistan. So you do not need support of any other word to understand the meaning of the word Pakistan. If I just say Pakistan, that in itself contains all of the meanings. If I say the name of a person, then I do not need any other words to explain that meaning. So therefore, now I'll repeat it again. Al-kalimatu lafdun mawdu'un mufradun. Kalima is the lafz or the word that has a meaning. Number one, kalima is a lafz, is a word, number one. Number two, it has a meaning. And number three, it has an independent meaning. It does not depend upon any other word to have its own meaning. Now, lafz, as I said, can have two meanings, can be divided into two parts as well. Musta'mal and muhmal. What is musta'mal? Musta'mal is the word that has a meaning. And lafz muhmal is the word that has no meaning at all. Any sort of sound that comes out of your mouth. Now here's the main subject that we are dealing with is sarf, and sarf deals with nothing but Arabic words. Now the Arabic words that have meanings, that kalima can be divided into three segments or three parts. Number one, ism. Number two, fail. And number three, harf. Ism, fail, and harf. What is ism? Ism is, like in English, when we use the word noun. So ism is like a noun. All Arabic words that have meanings are either ism or fail or harf. These are the three segments that all Arabic words derive from. They're either ism, or they are fail, or they are harf. What is ism? Ism, as I said, is a noun, and it has its own independent meaning, right? Like I said, it does not require any other words to explain the meaning of that word. So it is a noun that has an independent meaning. Number two, and also that's number one. And number two, what you need to understand about ism is that it does not carry any time with it. What does that mean? Like, for example, the tenses in the English language that you use, the future tense, the past tense, and the present tense, these three tenses do not exist in ism. But once you come to the word fi'l, fi'l has got tenses. These are the verbs that have tenses in them. And it is similar to ism in a way. Why? Because fi'l also has an independent meaning. Right? For example, fa'ala or daraba. Daraba, he beat somebody in the past tense. So that's daraba. Yadribu. He's hitting someone right now, present tense, or he's going to hit somebody in the future. That's fi'l muzari. So the three tenses that exist in fi'l, that makes it the word that I used, fi'l. Now fi'l, after fi'l, you have the third category, which is harf. Unlike the two categories that I've mentioned before, harf itself does not carry an independent meaning. It requires other words to make us understand the meanings. For example, harf, if I give you an example, min or ila. Ila means until or to. For example, min Islamabad ila Karbala. So min means from Islamabad, ila means to Karbala. Min Islamabad ila Karbala. So min and ila, if you take these two out, and the words that I use, Islamabad and Karbala, and you take them out as well, and you bring forth the word ila in itself, and you say, what is the meaning of ila? You will not be able to understand until it is supported by some other words that come along with it. These are the words, huruf, harf, are the words that connect the two words with each other. And that word in itself, it does not carry an independent meaning. Like, for example, if I say from, and then you're going to say from what? And if I say until or to, and you're going to say until what? Right? Similarly, ila and min do not independently have a meaning. Now, the last thing that I want to discuss is that all of the kalamas are either jamid or mushtaq. What is jamid? Jamid means that they have a root word. A root word in itself means jamid. This word does not come from any other word. A word which is a root word and has not derived from any other word is called jamid. Where does this word come from? The Arabic letters alif, ba, ta, and so on and so forth. The word that come from the Arabic letters and have not derived from any other word is called jamid. For example, darb, which means hitting, right? Now, darb has three letters, dad, ra, and bay. Darb itself is jamid. It's still. It hasn't come from any other word. It hasn't derived its meaning or itself. It came into existence from the Arabic letters like alif, ba, and ta, and so on, so forth. And what is mushtaq? Mushtaq are the words that derive from jamid or any other words that are mushtaq. A mushtaq is the word that derives from another word, which can be in itself be jamid or mushtaq. What do I mean? I mean, for example, I use the word yadribu or daraba, which is past tense. Daraba, where has this word come from? It has come from the root word darb, dad re be, idrib, which is ism fa'il. What does that mean? Hit him. Idrib falan, idrib Zaid, Bakr, so on and so forth. Idrib, I'm ordering you to hit somebody. Hit him. Idrib. So idrib has come from the word darb. So now, let me summarize what I've said. Arabic sarf is the knowledge which gives us the power to understand the structure and the meanings of the words, as well as the power to make us understand how the words have come into existence, and also gives us the power to create a word that gives us the power. So that's one of the usage of sarf. Number one, what does it deal with? The subject deals with only one single thing, which is word, kalima. The kalima itself can be divided into three segments: ism, fail, and harf. Now, these three categories can be divided into two things: jamid and mushtaq. Now, harf itself is not jamid, neither jamid nor mushtaq. We will not discuss harf in sarf. The only two things that we discuss in sarf is ism and fi'l, the nouns and the verbs, the tenses, the future tense, the past tense, and the present tense, right? Now, ism and fail, both of these two things, they are either jamid or they're mushtaq, which means that they're either the root words or they are the mushtaq. They derive from somebody, from some other word. So that's the basic introduction of the Arabic sarf that we're going to teach you, inshallah, over a period of time. I think I've divided these lessons into 120 lessons. Like Brother Jafri was saying, that we're going to hold these classes thrice a week. So hopefully, if we do it thrice a week, I think hopefully in about 10 months, we will finish sarf completely. And then we can move on to, inshallah, nahab from there. So that's basically, today was just an introduction to sarf, which is not really complicated, as you might have understood. It's not that it's not very difficult, but it is just a scientific way of understanding the meanings of the word. And inshallah, with the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and from the help of Sahib al-Asr wa Zaman, Ajjalallahu ta'ala farajahu sharif, bit by bit, we're going to learn the Arabic grammar together. Now, since today, it was just a session where I have tried to introduce this subject to you. We have not gone in depth. Inshallah, from the second lesson that we take on, I'm going to start with other things that come along with it. But inshallah, since today was the first day, so it was just an idea to give you a basic idea of what sarf is all about. And inshallah, we're going to stop here. And inshallah, I'm going to hand it over to Brother Ali Jafri, inshallah, who can take on from here. And He's going to announce the second class when it's going to be. And please let me, before you leave, let me tell you something. Please don't think that it's dry. Don't think that it's something that, you know, something that's going to be very difficult or something that's going to be really dry. As we move along, we're going to revise again and again, but I'm not going to make it a revision that becomes boring for you people. But what I'll try to do is that for you gentlemen who have come to this class, I want to make it easy and simple. It's very difficult to keep a balance, to make something easy and not to repeat it again as well. But I'll try to keep the balance. I don't want to make it boring for you people, but what I'll try to do is make it as simple as possible as we move along bit by bit. And then in 120 classes, inshallah, we will have the power to understand the Arabic words, the meanings and everything. So once you open the Quran and you place it before yourself and you're reading it, you know the meanings of those words. And then after Sarf, we will move on to Nahv, inshallah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And now I'd request Brother Jafri Saab to take over.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Jazakallah khair, Aghajan. And thank you very much for a very, very, I would say, clear, candid introduction towards Surf. And I must admit that it was quite a learning experience for me from day one. And brothers, as Aghajan mentioned, that this course is exclusively designed to for those people who are actually interested and keen to learn about nothing but those words which have been revealed in Al-Quran by none but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the words with whom God has spoken to us, communicated. So it's I'm really, really excited about it, and I'm sure that you guys will be regularly joining us 3 times a week. We are, as I mentioned earlier, we are planning to run this program or course thrice a week, 30 minutes, with the permission of Aghajan. As I understand, his time is very precious. We may open the floor for question answers, let's say 30 minutes for the lecture time, and then about 10 minutes for Q&A. So overall, we'll try to keep about 40 to 45 minutes for this session, inclusive of the lecture. So we are planning on Monday, Wednesday, and I would prefer, Aghajan, is Sunday convenient to you and to others? If
Yes,
you can just quickly
Sunday
that
is all right. Well, for me, it's 7 days a week I'm available. Alhamdulillah, that's not an issue. But it just depends on everybody else. So I think if everybody here, then I can see that there are about 11 participants, including myself. So just including me, it will be like about 10. So if after you finish, if somebody would like to have their own input about the subject and they want to discuss anything about what I said, please go ahead.
Yes, definitely. So as I mentioned,
after you, of course, after you're finished, after you're done.
Yeah. Yes, Asim Abashaji, you have a question. Yeah, raise your hand.
Aghajan, our request is this, that would you be kind enough that after, once you're finishing every lecture, would you be kind enough to summarize in few words in Urdu, the basic words, so that some of us could well understand, what is all about it. Sometimes people are reluctant to ask you, and they have deficiencies in English as well. So would you mind if you could, summarize the lecture in Urdu in few words at the end of the lecture?
Sure, Basbhai, because we have people from the United Kingdom, from America, and from other countries of Europe, and since they don't understand Urdu, what I'll do is I'll summarize it in English, and then I'll summarize it in Urdu as well. If you'd like me to do that right now, I'm all right with it. Do you want me to do it now?
Can I have one question now?
Sure.
This is Syed Irfan actually. Thank you so much everyone, especially Ali Agha Jan and Qibla Sahib, you for arranging these sessions. We are really thankful to you guys. And Actually, I would like to know what will be the course contents for
Thank
this
you.
one.
Thank you.
What will be the course contents? Because understanding Quran has so many aspects. There are different surahs we need to understand the tafsir or understand the tarjuma translation. But would it be the grammar sessions, or would you would go into the details of tafsir also? And how we will proceed with the lecture section?
Yes. Thank you very much. And it's a, mashallah, very nice question that you've asked, and a very important one as well. You know, the exegesis of the Quran, the tafsir of Quran, if you just know the meanings of and the grammar, that's not enough to do the tafsir. Well, the ulama have done it, and the tafsir are there. They're available everywhere. You can read the tafsir. They've done all the hard work for you, and they've come up with the tafsir. Well, the tafsir, you need certain things. The basic thing is to know the meanings and the grammar, the Arabic grammar and the meanings of the words, the vocabulary. Once you have done that, the second step comes is that the tafsir of one of the verses of Quran, you can have the tafsir from the other tafsir from the other verse. For example, what I'm trying to say is that one verse can explain the meaning of the other verse. For example, if you take a topic, like for example, Islam, yeah, then all of the ayats, all of the verses that exist in Quran, you have to look at all of the verses that deal with the word Islam, with this topic, with the subject. Now, if you have all of the meanings before you, all of the verses before you, then you know that you have a clear understanding of Islam from the point of view of Quran. That's one way. And the other way is to understand the meanings is from the ahadith of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. Wa Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. If there's a hadith for that particular verse, we have to take that into consideration as well. Yeah. So if you have the three things with you, if you know the meanings, now, once you go back to the ahadith and you go back to the verses of Quran, again, you have to know the meanings of the words that are mentioned in those ahadith, as well as the grammatical structure of the sentences used in those ahadith and the verses of Quran. So again, you have to have the understanding of Sarf and Nahw. That's the basic thing. So what I'm trying to do is to make everybody understand the Arabic language in itself. To understand the basic language, you have to have the basic knowledge of the grammar of Arabic language, which is divided into two parts, Sarf and Nahw. Sarf deals with only the words of Arabic, and Nahw deals with the structures of the sentences of the Arabic language, right? So once you have this knowledge, you can move on to reading the verses from Quran, which, in relevance, in relation to the other verses, and then the ahadith of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam that are in relevance to the particular verse. Now, there are some certain verses in Quran that have a really obvious meaning, those verses do not need any other explanation. For example, وَأَقِيمُوا الصَّلَاةَ وَآتُوا الزَّكَاةَ. Right? Now, the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this verse is very simple. Allah wants you to be punctual and particular with salat, with namaz, and also to give zakat. Right? In this kind of a verse, you do not need any tafsir. But then many of the verses do require a tafsir, and the tafsir comes from the Quran in itself and from the ahadith of Masumin alayhi salam. By just reading one verse and drawing a conclusion is haram. For example, if you just read one verse, for example, any verse of Quran, إِنَّمَا يُرِيدُ اللَّهُ لِيُذْهِبَ عَنْكُمْ رِجْسَ أَهْلَ الْبَيْتِ وَيُطَهِّرَكُمْ تَطْهِيرًا. You say Ahlul Bayt, so Ahlul Bayt, for example, the brothers of Ahlul Sunnah say that the wives of Rasulullah are also included in Ahlul Bayt because they were the wives, and Ahlul Bayt is like the household, so wives are included in household. Therefore, the wives, Ahlul Bayt, once you mention Ahlul Bayt, so you have to talk about the wives as well. But then, once you refer to the other verses of Quran, and you refer to the hadith of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and Ali Rasul, you come to the conclusion that no, Ahlul Bayt are only Muhammadin wa Ali Muhammad and not the wives. The wives are excluded from Ahlul Bayt. Like the tradition, hadith, even in Sahih Bukhari and other books of Ahlul Sunnah. So therefore, what we're trying to do is, we're trying to learn the basic step of understanding the Arabic grammar. And once we do that, we gain the power to understand, the Arabic, alhamdulillah, the traditions that come, the hadiths that come to us are all in Arabic. Quran is only purely in Arabic. Therefore, the first step is to understand the Arabic grammar, the meanings, the vocabulary. And once you have this power, while going through a scientific and a systematic and an organized manner, once we learn it, inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to help us. Sahab Zaman is going to help us. And at the end of the day, once we sit with somebody from Ahl Sunnah or from our own sect who does not have the clear understanding of a hadith of Ma'asum alayhi salam or a verse from Quran, we can sit with him and we can talk. But once again, I repeat that by just learning the grammar, we cannot do the tafsir of Quran, and we cannot draw a certain conclusion just by learning the meanings of it. It is just one of the basic steps in order to do the tafsir or to make us understand the verses and the hadith of Ahlul Bayt. We also require to have the knowledge of other verses as well as the ahadith in order to have a complete understanding of a verse. That's what you call a tafsir. Otherwise, if you just draw a conclusion by just listening to one of the verses and you say that's the meaning of this verse, well, that's wrong. That's called tafsir bil rai. It is haram and it is kufr. Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much, Aghjan, and thank you, Brother Irfan, for asking an excellent question. So I guess as Aghjan mentioned that today was just an introductory lecture, and as Brother Asim Abbas Shaji mentioned that we have number of participants who may prefer to have a summarized conclusion in the end as we move forward on different lectures in Urdu. Aghjan, so if I may request, maybe we skip today, we keep it in English, but from moving onwards, if we just do like a 5-minute summary in Urdu, I mean, if based on your own
prerogative. You want me to do it now?
Aghjan, I think let's if we can do it on the from the next lectures class. as an agenda. I'm sure, I mean, because we have not received any questions from everybody else. So I believe that this brings us towards the end of today's session, which was again a brief introductory session, but very well explained, very well summarized by Aghjan about the surf. And I'm sure you all are equally excited as I am. And inshallah on Wednesday, same time, 9:30 p.m. Pakistan time, we will formally start our lectures. And I would like to invite Aghjan again on Tuesday, so he can formally proceed with the lectures sessions. As Aghjan mentioned in the group, it would be nice if we can bring the note pen and copies and pencils, whatever, to take the notes for us to remember. And if we can give our own thoughts a structure so we can conclude the sessions well in time. Again, time management is going to be key for us as we move forward. So the questions, the comments, if they are well planned, if we have our homework done, so we can save the time and ensure that Aghjan does not spend extra time with us, considering that he has a very busy schedule as well. And so we will be, with permission of Aghjan, will be recording these sessions, which we will let you know on the group. Most likely we will upload on either on the Google Drive, or we may create a YouTube channel with the permission of Aghjan, end of the day. So that can be a public access, or it can be a limited private access to the participants who are actually going through this program. So as we move forward, we will be keeping you all informed about all these decisions and how will we be disseminating this knowledge over social media, over YouTube, over WhatsApp groups, etc. But feel free to participate on the WhatsApp group with your questions, and we all can pitch in, and we all would like to learn from each other as we move forward. So any quick concluding remarks that you would like to give, Aghajan, before we dismiss out for today's session?
Yeah, all I'm saying is that I'd like to end it with a prayer. And then Allahumma inni as'aluka bihaqqa Fatima wa abiha wa baniha wa sirr al-mustawdi'a fiha iqdi hajat. Ya Allah, तुझे वास्ता मोहम्मद वाले मोहम्मद का ये जो हमने काम शुरू किया है, या अल्लाह तुझे वास्ता मोहम्मद वाले मोहम्मद का इसको हम कामयाबी से आखिर तक पहुंचाएं। उर्दू में ही मैं कहना चाहता हूँ कि मैं कोई तादाद नहीं देख रहा, अगर आखिर में एक शख्स भी रहा तो मेरे पर वाजिब है कि उनको आखिर तक मैं उनको सिखाऊं, ये मेरे पर फर्ज है। इमाम ज़माना का नमक है, खुदाया हम सबको इसमें कामयाबी इनायत फरमा और हमें शौक और वलवला पैदा कर कि उलूम अहले बैत अलैहिस्सलाम को सही मायनों में समझने और उस पर चलने की तौफीक इनायत फरमा। अल्लाहुम्मा सल्ली अला मुहम्मद
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. MashaAllah, Zaid and Ilahi Ameen. So, brothers, with that note, we would like to end and conclude. So, you all have a good day, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you have called in from or logged in. Inshallah, please stay tuned on the group. We will be, this is the link, most likely the link that we share today will remain the same. In case if there's a change, I'll let you guys know on the group. But on Wednesday, 9:30 p.m., we would like to start the session. So punctuality is the key, time management is the key, and we would encourage all of you to please do log in again. It's going to be a very interesting course for all of us. So inshallah Aziz, we'll see everyone on Tuesday evening, inshallah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa ya ali madad. Assalamu alaikum. I'm going to end this session, so you all will be automatically dismissed out. Thank you very much.